I am Vinnie Tortorich, folks. Your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Yeah, it's the Wednesday show. You know what that means. We bring in none other than Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah. Hey, Chris, do you know that song?
I do.
Yeah,
I don't. I couldn't name another song by them, but
by her, you mean? And she's kind of a singer-songwriter, Suzanne Vega. She had Luca. You remember the song Luca? My name is Luca. I think that was Suzanne Vega, right?
Yeah.
Let me look it up. Let me see.
Queen and the Soldier, Gypsy.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find. I think she was Luca also. Yeah. Yeah. Here, let's see. This is kind of a weird song, but you know, I don't want to bring the audience down because I got something big to talk about today, and I think we have a few things over there. But you know, that was before you can like talk. You know, like when like you would see someone with black eyes, you go, "What happened? Oh, I fell down the stairs. I ran my head into the door." So, you know, and this is kind of the beginning of people talking about that stuff. You know, it was done in song, right?
Oh, I thought it was just because she was clumsy, but it's actually about abuse.
Yeah, it's an abuse song. Come on, Chris. Abuse is not funny. What the hell's wrong with you?
She's like, hey, you might not know that I live upstairs from you, but if you hear some bumping late at night, like, all right, it's one of two things. Either you're really clumsy or you have a lot of suitors, I think is the word that I'll use.
Luca, you know, Luca could be a chick, but I think it was a young boy in this case in the video. So that's it's bad. But that's the way. And there was another chick that used to do the same kind of songs. Like every song was a bummer, like that. And then there was one. There was a song by a girl named. There was another singer-songwriter named Annie Previn, and she wrote a song called "Torn." And "Torn" became a big hit by like a supermodel slash pop singer from New Zealand or something, or Australia or something like that. I can't think of her name right now, but I can tell you the singer-songwriter, but I can't tell you who made it popular. But they got this really kind of gorgeous girl because Annie Previn wasn't so hot. And I like the Annie Previn version more than I like the Natalie. It came to me. Natalie Imbruglia was the girl's name.
Okay.
Right. And she had one hit and it was that song. And that was it. And, but, you know, Annie Previn didn't get a hit in her version of it. And Annie Previn's song, Chris, you know, I'm not looking into a monitor or anything else. Her band was called Edna Swat or Edna Swap, one of those two. And I'm not making this shit up. I can't be, it's either SWAT with a T as in Tom or P as in Paul.
No, it's Edna Swap. It's one word.
Okay, so it's one word. All right. Yeah. So that was the band, and they had that song went platinum or whatever, right?
Well, they also have a song on that same album called "This Is a Song."
Oh, well, there you go. At the end of the show, if you remind me, I'll play Edna Swap's version of Torn, or maybe Natalie Imbruglia, whatever I can find. But Chris, we talk about a lot of things on this show, but intentions, right? What's someone's intentions when they do anything? Now, I'm going to be talking about a guy, and it might not sound like I'm talking about him in a very kind way, because this is a very smart guy. I've spoken to this guy before. He's a fan of the show, and I think he listens to every episode, so he's going to probably hear this, and he's going to know I'm talking about him. And I don't want him to get in trouble or feel like we're disparaging him whatsoever. So I won't give very many clues as to how I know this guy. Kurt appeared. No. So I'm on the phone, let's just say with a friend last night. And my friend goes, who are you talking to? And he goes, I'm talking to Vinny. And the guy's a big fan of the show, right? And he goes, let me get in there. I want to talk to Vinny. So he and I've spoken to this guy before because we have a mutual friend. And he goes, hey, man. Hey, and by the way, this guy drinks a lot. He's a confirmed alcoholic. You ask him, he will tell you, I drink, like I wake up in the morning. First off, I think he wakes and bakes, right? So he gets high and then he's either using marijuana or drinking alcohol after that. I think he waits until nighttime, but like he fills up the glass with vodka, like the 8-ounce glass, and just drink, like that, and just keeps drinking. So he does, so he's a functional alcoholic. He operates at a very high level, has a very tough job, but he comes home at night and just goes for it, right? He does NSNG, and he does NSNG to a T. Guy's in good shape, right? But he goes, hey, man, I got to tell you what I'm doing. It's like, all right. He goes, you know how I drink every day? I went, well, yeah, you've told me. I've never actually seen you. And he goes, yeah, I haven't had a drink, not a drop for 4 days. I'm like, congratulations, man. That's good. He goes, yeah, I got one more day to go and then I'll be back on it again. Yeah, I see the confusion on your face, Chris. Because I had probably that same look when I was on the phone last night.
Things that make you go, huh? Okay.
What? And I went, so you didn't go to AA or some 12-stepper? No, I'm just doing this on my own. I'm going to be sober 5 days and then I'm going to go right back. And I said, well, why? And he goes, because I got to go take a blood test. And I want to show that my blood is healthy and is good. So, I can't have all this dehydrated blood. I can't have all those problems. Because I said, well, do you have to prove for insurance purposes? I'm like picking around. He goes, no, I just like to prove to myself that I'm healthy. And I said to him, I'm not going to say, let me write down the name. We're going to call this guy Teddy because I don't want to say his name. I don't want Debbie to have to edit. So I said, Tedward, wait a minute. You're not trying to prove to an insurance company? No. He goes, I just go every 6 months and make sure my blood, I like to stay healthy. I went, okay. But you're lying to yourself. He goes, yeah, I just like to see that really good blood number. And then I go right back to drinking again. I said, so you realize that you are only lying to you, no one else. You're your own worst enemy here. You're the culprit. You're doing this. I said, why go take the blood test at all? He goes, because I want to prove that my blood is healthy. I said, what to your wife? To your kids? What are we doing here? Right? What are you doing? It's kind of like someone that, like my buddy Dave Feldman, right, who does a lot of good work with cholesterol. He used to figure out, because he worked for a company, he figured out how to jigger the cholesterol test, right? So if you eat a lot of cholesterol, it will cause your serum cholesterol to come down momentarily. So if you needed to have it come down from a moment, you would just do that, right? Get it to drop. And then once it dropped, you take your test and then you don't have to go on statins or whatever else they want you to go on at work. And then you just start eating, the way you want to eat again. That's how Dave Feldman started doing that at work. That's how he got into what he was doing. And also Ivor Cummins, a few other guys have done the same thing. We famously know that this other guy, I can't think of his name right now, little nerdy guy from Harvard, did the Oreo thing where he did it with Oreos, right? There's ways to drive down cholesterol momentarily. It's not a healthy diet to sit around and eat cholesterol. Oreos.
But wait, Vinny, Oreos are vegan.
Right. So I guess vegans were right.
Yeah.
But he proved that there are ways to, by momentarily driving down this or that, by doing certain things. It's called the Oreo study. And it'll never be published anywhere, but he did it. It wasn't a double, it might have been a double blind. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. I think it was just something he did in his basement, but he proved that it could be done. At any rate, I'm sitting there going, wow, this guy just wants to see this number and he's done nothing. Right. And I couldn't help but thinking, this is like everything that goes around. People don't care. When you take a GLP-1, for instance, the way it used to be taken to artificially lower your A1Cs, right? So you have an A1C of 9 or 10. If you took Ozempic or whatever, it would lower it to around 7. So you would take this drug, it would lower it artificially to 7. You're still perfectly sick. You still have diabetes because unless you get below 5.6, you still are type 2 diabetic. They lower it to 7, and that's about it. So you're taking a drug to artificially lower something, and you're still perfectly sick. This is the same thing. Oh, look, my blood is clean. Therefore, I can't be an alcoholic. Therefore, I can't be, alcohol is not ruining my system. And I said to him, why don't you be real? He goes, what do you mean? I said, why don't you wait another 5 days, start drinking again, get that booze back in your blood and go take the test to see what, he goes, why would I do that? I said, because you're not lying to yourself anymore. Right. And of course, you want to know what he and his friend said? There's Vinnie being Vinnie. Right. I don't know. I know what they meant by that. I'm the asshole. I'm the Dave Ramsey of health, as some people call me. I state the obvious and people think, oh, well, this is something special. Right? No. If you do the wrong things, you're going to get bad results. Right? You can't lie your way into a good diet. You're lying to yourself, but guess what? You still got yourself a drinking problem. By the way, it's going to catch up with him. 4 or 5 days, they're going to start seeing that he's got fatty liver disease or, any of the problem. We call it now we have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. He's going to have alcoholic fatty liver disease because it's going to catch up with him. You can't drink vodka as if it was water and get away with it forever, which is confusing with this guy because he's interested in his health. It goes to show you just how dangerous chemicals like alcohol is. And I told him, I said, look, he goes, look, I need it to unwind. I said, that's the worst thing in the world. Because I know his job. He's got a very, very tough job. He goes, I use it to unwind. I say, do you realize that alcohol causes more hypertension? It causes more high blood pressure. It causes more of what you're trying to relax from. I said, now, conversely, the pot you're smoking, if you want to become, as they call it, California sober, maybe you stick with that. Get rid of
all weed, no booze.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm telling people to go even more vegan. Have the greens, bro. Get yourself the greens.
Does that count as meat jewelry? I guess it is.
Yeah, it's a plant. It's it's no different than any other shrub that we eat. But you get what I'm saying, Chris. Try to fix one of the problems, and I think the most egregious of your problems is the alcohol. And then once you fix that, we know now that when you use pot long term, there are issues with it. I get it, folks. Don't send me your cards and letters. I don't want to hear how pot gets rid of everything from broken legs to glaucoma. I don't want to hear it. We now know that when you do it long term, especially with the pot they're selling today, my understanding is it's not the pot that my friend smoked when we were in high school. This stuff is strong and it's mind altering, right? It's changing the chemistry of your brain. Chris, do you know anything about that? You're nodding your head as if.
Yeah, I mean, so anything you do chronically is a problem, right?
Right.
And the availability of it, I think, is the bigger issue now, right? It's not that it's necessarily stronger, but when you get pot now, you're actually getting pot, right?
Right.
So yes, it has gotten slightly stronger, but not the way that everybody tries to make it out to be. But you know what you're getting now versus what your friends were smoking, which was probably half oregano, right?
Right.
Or stepped on, beat down versus having Vinny, are you familiar with the phrase bud tender? Right?
No, I
In
remember
in place
guys,
of a bartender?
a bud tender. So that's what it is when you go to a pot shop.
Yeah, it's kinda like when you go to a Starbucks and they're like, "I'm a barista," and you're like, "No, you push a button,"
Yeah.
right? But it's you don't actually really know what you're doing in most cases
Right.
at a Starbucks, but you're just the guy, right? It's like calling a janitor a sanitation engineer or
Right.
something like that, but yeah, they're the people that help you find the right thing for the thing that you're looking for.
Right. Well, I remember the guys that smoked pot back in my day. They would call it shake, meaning these guys were buying the cheapest shit around, and it was basically just, I want to say seeds or just buds or stuff that nobody else wanted, the stuff that shook off of the good pot.
Yeah.
And that's what they were trying to smoke. But yeah, I don't know much about pot. I just know that the smell was always somehow intriguing to me, yet not in a closed room. And the other thing that confused me was at some point, I had a couple of buddies that were way into smoking cigars when I was in Calabasas right towards the end. And they made smoking inside and outside illegal, talking tobacco. In Calabasas, it was illegal to smoke in Calabasas. I'm not making that part up. I see what you, I see the look at you. You got a question there, Chris?
I'm just trying to figure out so when you say inside, do you mean like in your own house? Or do you mean
No, inside any kind of building that wasn't your house, it was illegal.
oh, okay.
And so I guess you could smoke inside of your car or your house. I don't know because I'm not a smoker, so I don't know. Um, but I had a buddy who told me a story. This guy lived in one of those McMansions. Each like the smallest McMansion in this neighborhood was like 6,000 square, and they went up to 10,000 square. And he was in one of the 10,000 square, and they gave you about an acre with your property, right? So we were at his house barbecuing one night, right? And he pulls out a cigar. So we hadn't started barbecuing yet. We're sitting and having a drink, and he's smoking a cigar, and we're just having a good jolly time and the whole thing. And at some point, there's a knock on the door. I think I told the story on the Adam Carolla show at some point. And it's knock on the door. I said, "Oh, is anyone else coming?" He goes, "No, I don't know." So his wife opens the door, and it's the cops. And then she escorts the cops to the backyard where we are. And these cops felt so silly to do what they had to do. They came in and saying, "How are you guys doing?" And it's like, "We're doing good. Can we pop you a cold one? Would you like? I'm having a scotch here. Would you?" He goes, "No, we're here in official business." And we're looking around, going, "What the f?" Right? Goes, "You smoking a cigar right there?" And my buddy goes, "Yeah. You want one?" He goes, "No, you can't do that. One of your neighbors turned you." So obviously, you know which neighbor turned you in because it's the one right across the 8-foot stone fence. Called the cops on this guy for smoking a cigar in his multi-million-dollar Calabasas home. Right?
Sounds about right.
Again, the problem is when you walk down the sidewalk in Calabasas and Calabasas proper, it smells like skunk weed up and down. Nobody cares about that because, hey, man, they made pot legal. Well, guess what? Tobacco's still legal. How is it that they're not going to stop one loser smoking pot, yet they're going to smoke my friend, the loser, who's smoking a cigar? You know, And by the way, folks, I'm not making a case for smoking anything.
Right.
I'm just telling you that something that was perfectly legal for throughout eternity, since the Indians said, you know what, we're going to do a piece of pipe here, and and we found this weed that burns slowly, and we're going to put it in there, and we're going to smoke it, right? No, 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 no. All of a sudden, that's no good. But smoking pot anywhere in Calabasas, nobody's going to stop you. Buying it in Calabasas, no one's going to stop you. There's store after store after store, right? But that's the crazy world we live in.
You and I didn't talk about this, but there's actually a lawsuit right now against an HOA. I'd have to look it up, but I was listening to the story the other day, who tried to do exactly that. They tried to ban smoking in your own home within the last few weeks. So, I mean, what is the intention behind that other than controlling other people's behavior? And going back to your point from earlier, what is the intention in anything that we do? And if it's just to game the system for a little bit, do we get
Correct.
anything out of it? The answer is no. We have to stick to these things. And it doesn't mean you can't have a cigar on occasion, or you can't have a drink on occasion, or you can't even toke up on occasion if that's what your vice is. But you do have to pay attention to the long-term consequences of these things.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not trying to make an argument for cigars, right? Or cigarettes for that matter. They both cause cancer. We know that, right? But the fact that they got a police to roll on that, two cops showed up, right?
At least they felt embarrassed about it, right? At least they said, yeah, this is the dumbest call we've had all day, right? But who knows, man? In the last few years, dumber things have happened. It's insanity.
And by the way, the guy that they were telling this to, I'll go a little further, a rock star, a bona fide rock star, right? Who probably had a pound of weed somewhere in his house. You know what I mean? But this was the concern. This was the concern. Makes no sense, right?
I'm kidding.
Anyway, I look, folks, there is no gaming the system. And the guy I'm talking about, he knows I'm meaning him no ill will. He's kind of a cool guy. I like the guy. He's a friend of a friend. And I just wanted to tell you a story because, look, maybe you should go look at some of your habits. And if you really want to be healthy, maybe try to fix a couple of those. But it's no different. Was it you and I talking about this woman a couple of weeks ago who wrote to me and, with the chips? And she was like, can I have these chips? It says only 5 grams. She's read my PDF. She's in the VIP group. She's been listening to this podcast for years. And she knows the truth. But and I've even said, do not listen to these industries and what they write on the front. And she's going to go, but it says right on the front, 5 total grams of carbs, net carbs. You're lying to yourself. Folks, I spoke to a woman today. I'll give her first name, Patricia. Patty. Patty lives down in Baton Rouge. We had to get real. She started doing NSNG. She lost weight. Her husband's lost weight. Her kids lost weight. But she's got another 100 pounds to go. She's 5'4", and she's 255 pounds. No, I'm sorry. She's 235 pounds, and she wants to get down to 135. And she's doing a lot of things right, but she drinks wine daily. Wine's worse than just regular alcohol because wine is like just a big sugar hit. So Patty wants to get there. She's dedicated herself to get there. Right? So I know when you can hear it in someone's voice, you can almost feel that they're about to cry or they're weeping or whatever. You can hear it. You know when they're going to do it. I know when they're going to do it. I've been doing this for 40 years. I know when they're sitting there going, I'm desperate. I got to make this phone call. I got to make this shit work. And I told Patty, I said, listen, it's Friday. And I know you got that bottle of wine staring at you on the counter. And you could tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Let me just finish this bottle. I'll get to it tomorrow. But I asked her, I said, Patty, how many times did you start on Monday? And she goes, more times than you can ever imagine. I said, why would you think that this Monday is going to be any different? You need to start today. Time is just a construct, a man-made construct. You got to let it go today. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, not Monday, because we just made up the weekend so that we can have songs. Everybody's working for the weekend, right? That's all we're doing. We're just making up songs about the weekend. Saturday, night. That was a song, by the way. Do you remember that song?
I do not.
Oh, Bay City Rollers, buddy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bay City Rollers. And we're going to play that, and everybody's working for the weekend. Folks, hang around after this show. We're going to have a little dance party. Get ready, Debbie. You're going to have to do a lot of cutting out. We're going to have a little dance party. That's right, Bay City Rollers, and we're going to play. We're going to also play Everybody's Working for the Weekend. Chris, what do you have over there?
So, Vinny, you were talking about intentions, and I had an article pop in from our friends over at the New York Times that I thought would get you a little riled up.
Right?
Called "Are Americans Doing Fitness Wrong?" And I think this kind of ties into what we were just talking about, right? Which is making sure that whatever we're doing, we're making it a part of our life, a real part of our life.
Right.
And the concept of the article is that there's more gyms per capita in the US than pretty much anywhere else in the world. And we're the fattest people on the planet because, to your point that you've made, if we were to go back to ancient Greece and say to them, yeah, I pay to go to a place to pick things up and put them down, they would look at us funny. And so it's exploring what a few different people do around the world in a few different places. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because the gist of the article is, yeah, you can go to a gym if that's what works for you, but here's what works everywhere else.
Right.
And the first thing that they're talking about is Finland. And they say, if you just start walking, it makes a huge difference because that's what they do in Finland, even when it's cold outside, right?
Yeah.
They don't have necessarily the hamster tunnels that they have in Wisconsin, so they don't ever have to go outside in the snow, but they do walk most places. If you're struggling with the fitness side of this thing, is that a good place to start? Is it just getting up? Is it that easy?
It is. I tell people that walking is, when they go, do I have to go to a gym? This is like, no, walk. Walking is one of the easiest and best exercises you can ever do, period. Just get up and walk. It's not such a big deal. It's weight bearing. Weight bearing is not lifting weights, folks. It's your body, your skeletal system bearing your weight. So, in other words, standing is a weight bearing exercise. Walking takes standing to a new level. I kind of liked a few years ago when everybody else just all of a sudden started looking at 10,000 steps a day. And of course, a lot of people came out, oh, there's nothing special about 10,000 steps a day. Yes, there is when you're not fucking moving, when you sit in a cubicle all day. There's something very special about 10,000 steps. Number one, it's 5+ miles for most people, right? So people, I remember it was the watch before this watch because the other watch crapped out. So I have on me right now this Garmin. It's called the Instinct 2, this watch. And let's see, today was a bad day for me because I was in a lot of meetings. And also I had to go to 2 different banks to do all kinds of, I've been sitting in meetings all day. Today is the worst walking day on my feet that I've had in forever. And I'm at 6,000 steps. Right? And by the way, when I was at the gym today, early this morning, doing leg day, that's right, I like to brag about leg day, my watch wasn't on. So even on a day where I was somewhat sedentary, I'm over 6,000 steps and I had leg day today. That means squats, I did deadlifts, I did strap squats, and I did regular squats, strap squats, deadlift, and oh, uh, leg press. So I did a lot of push because we see all these things, that one of the things with longevity is having strong thighs. And yeah, cancer is going to probably take my ass out probably the next time I get it. But you know what? I'm going to leave this earth with some fucking sequoias, some strong ass thighs. That's my commitment, is to keep everything going, right? But walking on any given day, since I've had this watch, if I had to average the number of steps I take per day, it's over 10,000. And in the summer, it's usually over 20,000, right? When I start, because I have my regular steps per day, and then I'll go do more because I'm getting ready to go climb Whitney or something else, right? So I'll go north of 25,000 steps, and you go, Jesus Christ, man, that's your whole day. I'm lucky because when I'm on meetings with you, when I'm on meetings with the banks, when I'm on meetings with, when I'm talking to people about the consults, I walk out the front door. And at least half of those times, I either have that weighted vest on that Scott Mulvaney gave me for Christmas a couple of years ago, or I have my Go rucksack on, right? And people go, how much weight do you have in this thing? Different weights all the time. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put 10 pounds in here. Most times it's at least 30, and I'll go as high as 40, 45. And don't write to me. I know my buddy Mike Rowe goes with 70 or 65, but he's got that lower strap on. They make a lower strap that I just don't have. Now, whenever I do my knapsacks, the ones that have the belt strap, then I'll load them down more. So if I'm using an actual bag that I climb mountains with, I will put more weight in those. But if ever I get the strap for the ruck thing, then I can start loading it down more, right? I have a bad neck. It starts to hurt my shoulders past 40 pounds. It hurts my neck. I'm sorry. But yeah, walking. And by the way, folks, you don't have to weight it down. Just go out and walk. As a matter of fact, every morbidly obese person I talk to, they go, well, I can't run. I weigh 450 pounds. Can you walk? How far can you walk? Out the front door. Good. How far is your mailbox? It's a couple of feet away. Can you get to your mailbox and back? I think. Go do that. And then what? The next day, when you get to your mailbox, take an extra step. You don't think it matters? Before you know it, you'll be walking miles. But you got to literally do it one step at a time. And I think these people, did you say Finland, Chris?
I think, yeah, Finland was the example they were using for that.
Yeah. Look, whenever I'm in places like Finland, I was in a place close to, I guess it's close, somewhere near Finland, Norway. That's near Finland, right? Yeah. Those people are gorgeous, man. They either walk or ride bikes everywhere. I thought I was at a supermodel convention. All the guys look like Tom Brady, and all the women looks like Tom Brady's ex-wife.
I thought you were going to say Tom Brady in a wig, but also.
Pretty much, yeah. Which, by the way, that ain't wrong, is it? There's nothing wrong with that.
Whatever revs your engine there, Vin.
Look, I mean, if you have sex with Tom Brady and you're a dude, that ain't gay. I'm just saying. That's a good look.
You're in the same club as his ex-wife, so I guess.
Yeah.
Not.
That's right.
At least theoretically, I think they have kids together, right? So who knows?
Yeah, they got kids. Is that Gazelle or Giselle? How do you say her name?
Giselle. Gazelle is the animal in Africa. Giselle is the model.
Yeah, well, she's something else, isn't she? And to think she started fucking a trainer. I could have been in. I'm stuck with a Bond girl. Could have done better. Anyway.
As she gently throws your dinner on the floor because she can hear you upstairs. But I think walking is an interesting thing. And I was coming back from my walk this morning. Vinny, I go and I was talking about my 10 before 10 as one of my New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I did about 15 this morning, but I walk into town every day and I go to the butcher and I go somewhere else and I end up rucking back just because I have groceries,
Right.
right? And it's usually 5 to 7 pounds worth of stuff. It's not like I'm doing that intentionally, but it's better than farmers carrying that back
But
4
you're
miles.
going uphill on the way home too. You
Oh,
live up the mountain, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ironically uphill both ways, but the hill going back is actually a little more gentle. Um, but if we think about on the way back this morning, I was thinking about, everybody talks about we have the ability to go all over the world now and do all of these things. And if you lived in ancient Greece, yes, you could sit in Athens all day and you could have been there your entire life and never left your little farming village. Or
Right.
you could have been a part of Alexander the Great's army. Don't shout at me, Greeks. I know he's Macedonian, right? And marched 15 to 20 miles a day and conquered most of the known world and had that same experience. You look at the Roman legion, they famously marched between 15 and 20 miles a day. That was just a
Actually, I
standard
think
day for them.
they were going further than that. And the average human being back then weighed about 145, 150 pounds. And they carried that much in body armor with them. And
Right.
they would walk for days, and then they would have a battle, and then they would do a little raping and pillaging, and then they'd start walking again to go conquer somewhere else. It was amazing.
So just a little Google foo here, right? Your standard Roman legionary, Vinny, was
Mm-hmm.
expected to carry 75 pounds. That included all of their armor and their part of the camp, right? Because you
Right.
may or may not know that they all carried, a wooden stake and part of it, like half a tent, right? And some of those kinds of things. And that's just what they did. That was a part of life. You had
Yeah.
to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Now that we don't do that, we kind of forget that it's a very easy thing to do. And if you don't want to go walk outside in the cold, you don't have to do that, right? To your point, if you're in a meeting, you're on the phone, pace back and forth. That's just as good. It's not nearly as fun as getting out and seeing nature, but it gets you the same benefit. You don't have to stay stagnant all day. And I think setting that as your base is a great way to get started. The other thing they were talking about was short bursts of exercise. So they use Japan as an example here, but they were talking about one of the biggest things that happens in Japan apparently is everyone goes outside around the same time and does a very quick 3-minute calisthenic routine a few different times a day.
Yeah.
So they'll do some arm circles, backward bends, star jumps, and jumping jacks. Okay, nothing wrong with doing that. And then they get into some of the weirder stuff, like fitness has to feel like a party. And they were talking about Brazil and how everybody's always outside playing volleyball and some of those kinds of things. But I think the walking thing as a foundation is something that I think most people miss, right? You can pick your flavor, you can do your calisthenics, you can do your fitness as a party, you can do your time in the gym. But if you're not at least getting up and getting moving, none of the rest of that matters.
There's a little island right next to Sicily where my people come from called Sardinia. And Sardinia is a beautiful island. It's beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been to like Capri or anything. It's like Capri. It's this beautiful, very rural, very rudimentary place. And it's a blue zone. There's more centenarian men there than anywhere else on the planet. And they're always trying to figure out why. And by the way, they eat more fat, more animal fat than anywhere else on the planet. But one of the things they do is they walk everywhere, and it's hilly. It's hill country. So everywhere they walk is up or down a hill, and they live into their hundreds, right? With no disease, no nothing, no heart disease. And I'm telling you, it all has to do with exercise. People ask me all the time, Vinny, you say that you don't need to exercise to lose weight. And as a matter of fact, I say that exercise is a horrible way to lose weight because it just doesn't work. Now, if you're eating a perfect diet, exercise will magnify that. But the thing that exercise does, and the reason you must do exercise, is because exercise is the fountain of youth, right? I mentioned, sequoia thighs, having strong legs, having muscle in your body as you age. I get it. When we turn 75, 76, we fall off of a cliff physically, right? We just start to look really old, right? We watched it happen to Joe Biden in real time, right? Because the guy is the most photographed man in the world. He went from somewhat spry to just falling off of a cliff. And he gets the best health care in the world. He's the president of the United States, right? There's doctors on top of doctors making sure that everything is fine. But at some point in your late 70s, going into your 80s, there's this big giant drop. But you'll notice some people don't get that drop, right? Mickey Hargitay, who was Mr. Olympia at one time, and I knew him in his older age. Mickey made it, I want to say, see how old Mickey, I think Mickey made it to 90 or close to that. But Mickey was still working and working at a high level. And I mean, the guy looked amazing when he was older. And, Jack LaLanne didn't fall off of that cliff until his late 80s going into his 90s. And you can say that about a lot of these guys that continue to exercise, right? They keep it together. They keep it. Stallone, who looks like he's gained a little weight over the years, but Stallone works out like an animal. The guy looks spry. He's still muscular, right? He's more squared off. He's not as tight. But of course, he's in his mid to late 70s. How old is Mickey Hargitay when he died?
Mickey Hargitay died at 80.
He was only 80 when he died?
2006. According to our friends at Wikipedia, but who knows?
Yeah, Wikipedia. They always know the truth. Okay, maybe he was just 80. I literally thought he was 10 years older than that when he died. But he looked good until he died. Do we know how he died? Because I didn't know him right towards the end. I wasn't living there right towards the end. So, we kind of moved apart.
Myeloma, multiple myeloma.
So he got cancer and he went fast.
Yeah, they said, bone marrow.
Yeah. But the guy, I'm telling you, in his 70s, the guy was still lean and mean and spry. Same with Steve Reeves, who I don't think, Steve Reeves made it a pretty good while, right? All of these guys were bodybuilders before the steroid era.
74.
Yeah. This is not good for health and fitness. He died of something like that too, right? He had some kind of cancer. I remember in the 80s, he put out a book about walking or something. It was like, walk yourself to health, to bring this podcast full circle.
Oh, he died in surgery or as a complication of surgery? Hang on.
What kind of surgery did he have?
Had exploratory surgery late Friday afternoon, the 28th, while being treated for lymphoma, and died shortly thereafter from a blood clot.
Ugh, it's hard to hear. One of the most beautiful men. You want to talk about Tom Brady? This guy was beautiful. As a matter of fact, he sparked careers. The aforementioned Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Mickey Hargitay. They all saw this guy and went, wait a minute. He's lifting weights. We need to go do this because this guy is good looking, right? That's
funny. Funny we bring him up after talking about the Greeks and the Romans. Wasn't he like every Greek and Roman
movie
character? Yeah. Like he was Hercules, Romulus.
Yeah, every time they needed someone, he was the guy. Put a beard on him. He's Hercules now. That's basically what they did.
Oh, and he was the son of Spartacus. There we go. Yeah, just a little bit of everything.
He was, at one time, he was the biggest box office draw there was. Literally. Right? But all of these guys, they kept it together. I'm sorry they all died young of something weird, cancer, which is something I'm going to probably die of. So, folks, don't exercise. Everything I've said here today is wrong. No, look, it's just luck of the draw, right? It's all just luck of the draw. It just is what it is.
But you do have control over it to some extent, right? And we know not getting up and doing the basic movement stuff hastens that decline.
Yeah.
Whether it's that cliff that you hit somewhere between 70 and 80, or it's all of the other things. And I don't want to throw out the platitude of sitting is the new smoking, because it's not. But it also is something that's much more addressable. You are not addicted to sitting down. You
Right.
are addicted to the nicotine and the other crap that's in cigarettes. You
Right.
are addicted to the alcohol. You are addicted to the fact that you have to eat food, right? You're not addicted to sitting down. And so if you can get up and at least get that foundation in, then anything else you get in, whether it's doing some extra calisthenics, going to the gym, just counts that little bit more. And it's not to lose weight. Yes, it will help with that if you're not moving. And I know you always say exercise is a poor way to lose weight, because the people who say, "Oh, I'll just go run it off," operate on strictly calories in, calories out, and a misunderstanding of what it actually takes to burn that donut off at the gym,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't mean that it's not the foundation that you need. And I think the other thing that you typically say is it's the fountain of youth, right? Because it fixes everything else. It just gives you that basic foundation.
Chris, you couldn't be more correct. We're going to make that the final word today. We're going to end it right there because it's not going to get any better than that. Folks, I want to say this. It comes with a heavy heart. One of the members of our team, the woman who does, she answers all the calls over at purevitaminclub.com, purecoffeeclub.com, and NSNG Foods, Miss Jackie Jones. Her father passed away this morning as we record this on the 7th. And so if you guys know Jackie and the group, she's around the group. I know she's a big deal in the carnivore communities and everywhere else. Let her know that you're thinking about her. And if you're a praying man or praying woman, toss a little prayer her way because losing a parent, never easy. And Jackie is a wonderful woman. And so, we're pulling for you, Jackie, and take all the time you need. Speaking of that, luckily for us, everything is shipping, so Jackie doesn't get many phone calls. She's becoming as lonely as the Maytag man, if you guys remember that ad, because we're shipping all of the vitamins, we're shipping all of the coffee, we're bringing back the Explorer, something that went away towards the end of other people running the company. For some reason, they couldn't get that right. So we're bringing back Explorer, right, Chris?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And we're working on exciting stuff over at NSNG Foods, the ultra fat company. So all of that is coming around. By the way, all three, we said last week that two of the three, we're going to put, all three will be on the same site. Is that correct, Chris?
Theoretically.
One stop shop. We're becoming like our own little Amazon, right?
Yep.
Amazon. Boom. So I wonder if we could put one of my movie. I wonder if we could put Dirty Keto on there. People could just buy a digital copy of Dirty Keto off of that site, right? That makes it more like Amazon. Now we got a video version. We got, right?
Heck, we can put the PDF up there. We have books, we have movies, we have vitamins, we have coffee. We are Amazon. I think we would have to probably put a hat and like a pair of boxers up there and then a house, because you can buy houses on Amazon too. But we're getting close. We're coming for Jeff Bezos.
Chris, you got me thinking. I'm working on this. As you know, I've already shot this. I'm putting all these workouts together. And so far, we're going to be doing a 6-day routine, a 4-day routine, a 2-day routine, and a at-home routine. And all you need for that routine is a bench and dumbbells, nothing else. So we're giving, we're going to be, selling 4 routines. Now, if you're in the VIP group, you get it all for free. But I'm wondering if we could put that on that site too. You could buy workouts right there on the site. Is that possible? Amazon don't sell workouts.
We would have to hook it up to the VIP site so that they can get access to the back end of that, but they would be able to purchase it on the main site. That shouldn't be a problem.
But you see, it's not like you have to go there to see it. They're buying the file,
Yeah.
right? The file comes to them anyway. Is there a way we can do that? One-stop shopping.
There should be. I mean, all I would have to do is connect those two things on the back end.
Chris, I'm becoming a monster over here. What else can we sell over there?
Whatever you want, man.
Tires, batteries. What else?
Tools. We need some tools. Some workout equipment. Yeah.
I wonder if I can make my own version of like a TRT or
a TRX. Yeah, we can do that.
TRX. Because by the way, that's one of the workouts I'll be doing later. If people like what I'm doing, I'm going to make one for geriatrics. I'm going to make one for kids, for football, for soccer, what have you. I'm going to make a TRX one. I'm going to do them all. But we got to see if people want what, picking up what I'm putting down. So I'm starting with the 4 to see what happens. I told you, new and we got this vitamin company rolling again. We got everything going. I said we're going to have new and exciting things in the new year, Chris, and I mean it. Right? Wonder if we could sell my book on that website.
It's a digital file.
I own it. Chris, are you writing this stuff down? I don't see you writing.
I don't need to write. I have the recording for this one.
Chris, write this down. I want to sell movies. I want to sell my book. I want to sell the workout program. I want it to all be on that site. We're going to call it Vinnie's On.
Vinnie's On. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And by the way,
if it's available.
Once we folks, we're coming at you with foods. Once we get that straight, we're right on the cusp of getting that straight because we're doing a bunch of things in the background. I got new products coming at you, big and heavy. Get ready. Get ready. It's all happening. It's all happening. PureVitaminClub.com. Go check it out right now. PureCoffee.com. Go check it out. You could get the double French. You got the house. Everyone loves the house. The athletic blend. Do I have athletic up there? Yeah, it's behind. It's behind my house. You can't see it. It's behind the house blend. Yeah. No, you can't see it. You see where the house is? It's behind that. So we got the athletic. We're coming back with the Explorer. We got everyone loves the honey process. Is the honey process the number one seller for us, or is it house? It's honey process, right? People ask me, it's like, why is this coffee so good? It's like, because it is. We get it out of Costa Rica. It's a special process when they're drying the beans out. No one does it. It's special. I make espresso with it sometimes. Let me tell you this, folks, if you're a real espresso and you got like a real espresso machine, it's not for everybody. It's a weird kind of strong taste. It's almost fruity. It's almost acidy. It's not for everyone. But if you like that kind of thing, you're gonna. Let me put it to you this way: when you make espresso with honey process, you're gonna either love it or hate it. There are no in betweens. No in betweens whatsoever. By the way, Chris, can you send me some honey process? I own the companies. I gotta get Chris to send me my own stuff because I'm almost out. Go check all that out. Now we have 2 songs to play here at the end. So I'm going to play them and then we're going to do let's do the sign off so that Debbie can have that lined up. And then we're going to come in with Lover Boy and then we're going to play Bay City Rollers. So on behalf of Chris Shaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with Lover Boy.